move on to highlights. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, future GOAT perhaps versus current GOAT for sure. Chiefs down 15 at the half, but take a 3-point lead in the fourth. Tom Brady with the legs, rushing touchdown. Pats take the lead. Okay, just over 3 minutes to go. Chiefs down 7. Mahomes to Tyreek Hill for the 75-yard touchdown, their third TD connection of the night. But Brady, really good at football, finds his favorite target, Rob Gronkowski, gets the ball inside the 10. His 500th career reception, which sets up this Stephen Gostkowski field goal. As time expires, Patriots outlast the Kansas City Chiefs 43-40. Here is Tom Brady after the game.
When he was running, Tyreek was running the score. I said, good, score quick, because then we had, enough time. They had one timeout left and gave us a little time to go down and kick the field goal.
Just to be able to go against the best. I mean, you want to compete against them every single day, and we got down, put ourselves in a huge hole, and I'm just proud of my team on how we fought to get back in the game. And we had the lead at one point, and then we ended up not coming out with the win, but just that fight, I mean, it's something you can carry on and to the rest of this season.
I don't think this is an intimidating place at all. I think it's just the excitement of it being Sunday night against a great team. I think he got excited. I don't think it's intimidating for him at all. I think he rises for the moment when it's presented, and sure enough, I think he handled himself great.
There was a lot of good players on the field tonight. I mean, it's two good teams, and they both competed very hard. Came down to the final play of the game. There's a lot of good football players out there on both sides of the ball.
He's right. This basically came down to who had the ball last, and in this case, it was indeed the New England Patriots. What do you think the key was for the Pats beating the Chiefs, C?
Well, I think initially the Pats, I thought that they would come in with a dominant running game, that they would use the ball control, that they would go multiple formations, but their basic formation was 3 wide receivers. Because when they play 3 wide receivers, they know they can force Kansas City into playing nickel. And if you want to run the ball, if you want to choose a front to run against, that front, playing nickel, is the best front to be able to run against. So I knew they would do that. Now, what they were going to do defensively, I didn't know they were going to be able to stop them, especially early, as much. Those first 3 drives or scoring opportunities where they made Kansas City settle for field goals, I believe, in the drive before halftime that they forced the tip pass and the interception, they were the difference in the game, because Kansas City moved up and down the 20-yard line to the other 20, and once they got there, things begin to bog down. So holding them to field goals early, taking those points off the board right before halftime, that defense slowing them down just enough, what I believe was the difference in this ball game last night.
I want to give the Patriots a ton of credit, because they did exactly what the Patriots are famous for doing. They made almost no mistakes. They didn't have an accepted penalty the entire game, and they didn't punt. So they were converting on third downs when they needed to. They weren't killing themselves. The Chiefs were relatively not penalized, except for one critical pass interference penalty right at the goal line, which ended up being a scoring opportunity. The Chiefs didn't punt until the very end, which was a critical moment in the game. So, the Patriots did everything the Chiefs did just a little bit better. The Chiefs clearly said, we're not going to let Gronk beat us. If that means we have to have small people out there to cover him, so be it. And Gronk had one catch until the end of the game, where the Pats are only up 4, 1st and 10, 42 yards to Gronk. And then the play where they ended up putting, there's the 42-yarder right there, which put them in position to kick a field goal to go up 7. And then on the final drive of the game to put them in position to get the game-winning field goal. That's right here. So Gronk was relatively silenced and then made the 2 biggest plays of the game for the Pats. But I think the Chiefs should be encouraged, see. They didn't have Justin Houston, he's their best defensive player. They didn't have Eric Berry. He had been historically their best or second best defensive player. They know Houston's coming back. They think Berry's coming back. Pat Mahomes, after playing his worst half of football as a pro, played arguably his best half of football as a pro, and they had no answers for the Chiefs offense in the second half. All of that in Gillette, down 15 on the road, that's encouraging for the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs have to be encouraged, because if you look at who their secondary was, how many guys they didn't even have on the roster when they started the season, guys who were playing prominent roles in their defense. And over the last 10 to 15 years, there's only been a couple of young quarterbacks that have been successful playing in Gillette, and that being Sanchez with the Jets, which was supported by a great running game and that great defense. Baltimore, Joe Flacco, he had success there. Running game, deep passing game, and supported by a great defense. The best of those players, young to be successful, is Patty Mahomes. Because he can leave there with Andy Reid as his coach knowing that I can come here with a full game plan. I don't have to rely on my defense. I can rely on my young quarterback. So I thought what they were able to accomplish, the comeback, because sometimes you leave a game, you lose the game, but as an offense, you just feel like we ran out of time. We didn't lose, but if we had another possession, we could have beaten New England. I believe that's the way, what Patty Mahomes and the rest of this young group will take from that game.
The one other young quarterback to have success, not in the playoffs, Colin Kaepernick, similar team. Running game, defense, can't beat him with his legs.
So I know the Chiefs won, but
Pats won.
I'm sorry, I know the Patriots won, but because of the way the Chiefs played, does it change the landscape in the AFC at all for you guys, or do you still feel like the Chiefs, with their record, with one loss, are still the team to beat?
Right. I thought coming into the game that Kansas City was the best team in the AFC. Now, going to Gillette was going to be a tremendous test in prime time. Now, I thought they passed the test. Sometimes you don't always have to win to pass. How they fared, how they matched up, how they got off to a rough start, how their quarterback came back and made plays. Tyreek Hill, I had always questioned people who thought in his first couple of years that he was a #1 receiver. But he's starting to run. You can see the intermediate routes. You can see him going across the middle. Things that he didn't do a whole lot of, he's starting to show that he can be a #1 guy. So I saw a lot of very, very promising things. New England, I knew they would be challenged defensively. I don't believe that defense is going to get better. From a New England standpoint, I believe Josh Gordon will get better. The longer he plays with Hogan and Edelman and Gronk, he will get better.
See, you mentioned Tyreek Hill. His ability to get to full speed seemingly instantly. He played that ball off the ground. There's McCourty's a few yards from him,
yes,
and he lands in seemingly at full speed at landing.
And the
turns
fear he puts in him, the fear he put in McCourty immediately, because there was some space. He had an angle. He had the sideline. But what he's doing is very, very special.
If this were the Chiefs team for the rest of the year, I would say you can't win a Super Bowl with a defense like this. Not even in today's NFL. You can't win a Super Bowl with a defense that cannot force a stop. But if you get Justin Houston back, and you get Eric Berry back, you only needed to force one stop in this game. If they had forced one punt, they win this football game. The only time New England left the field without points was the opening drive of the game when they went for 1 on 4th and were short. Every other time they touched the ball, they got points other than Brady's strip sack. Like, if you can force one more stop, and because they still have the one-game cushion, if they play again, that game might be in Arrowhead. And so for all those reasons, I think it's very close. I think the Chiefs are still the best team in football, or the best team in the AFC. I think the Patriots don't have as many reinforcements coming as
the difference between these two teams right now is where you're going to play.
Yes.
So if you judge them, say in Foxborough, Gillette, New England. They go to Kansas City, we know what's going to happen.
We got to go. Much more in this game tomorrow. Undisputed starts right now.